What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are looking at Sun and Moon and all the products within it and how they have moved month over month. And this is really one of my favorite video series out of all the ones that we do here on the channel because it really helps us keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the Pokemon market. Like, you work hard for your money, I work hard for mine, and so whenever we decide to spend that hard-earned money on anything in the Poke space, I want to make sure we have all the data at our fingertips, all the tools in our tool belts, so we're playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And I think this monthly view really helps give us an idea of how the macro market is moving as a whole. And that was very apparent when we looked on Monday at how Sword and Shield products have moved over the last month. It was a really exciting video, right? You know, the top 20 cards, you know, they've been in free fall. It's been a little bit of a Pokemon bear market here as of late, but from November to December, we actually saw the top 20 cards from Sword and Shield go up month over month, which was amazing. It was really encouraging. It was really exciting. I'll actually link the video at the end of this one, so if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. But I will say this, a lot of us thought, hey, maybe there's some seasonality to it, like maybe people are buying a lot of Sword and Shield singles in order to gift them as Christmas presents, which is pumping up the price, which could absolutely be true. But I will say this, if Santa and his helpers love Sword and Shield, they have no love for Sun and Moon, because the top 20 singles cards across all the sets that have booster boxes in Sun and Moon got absolutely kicked in the shins over the last 30 days, and it was not a good showing for them. So here's how I start these videos out all the time, right? I show you the total value of the top 20 cards in the Sun and Moon sets that had booster boxes. In September, it was $12,604. In October, it dropped down to $12,496, so down less than 1%, down 0.85%. So not a big loss considering that the whole market was coming down. When we did that video, I said, hey, listen, that's a real strong showing for Sun and Moon, especially considering down in blue, you'll see that I have the Sword and Shield results for those same month periods. So Sun and Moon was only down 0.85%, less than 1% September to October, and Sword and Shield was down 6%. So I was like, hey, way to go, Sun and Moon, love that. Then October to November, Sun and Moon came down 2.3%, so it dropped at an accelerated rate compared to September to October, and Sword and Shield was down 4%, so still a bigger drop in the Sword and Shield block, but it was at least trending in the right direction versus Sun and Moon, which was trending in the wrong direction. Now, November to December, again, we see the rate of depreciation in those top 20 cards from the Sun and Moon era. Their drop increased, right? From 2.3% month over month to negative 3.7% month over month. And in Sword and Shield, we saw it go up 1%. So we're talking about two awesome eras, the Sword and Shield era, the Sun and Moon era, which the top 20 cards are performing totally inversely of each other, right? They're doing the opposite. The Sword and Shield was starting to gain traction from -6 to -4 to +1. Sun and Moon has gone from negative 0.85 to negative 2.3 to negative 3.7. And that's why this video exists. That's why I do this. It's really awesome to see these things going on, because I always say on this channel, and this is going to sound like a total moment, but buy what's going to go up, not what is going up, right? Like, we got to find opportunities out there. When Sun and Moon was super hot, I felt like it was getting too, it was too expensive. Like, I love Sun and Moon. I think it's a great era. I think it is still benefiting from the big pandemic pump that it got. Some of these cards we're going to talk about in the next couple slides, they're just going for a crazy amount of money when compared to a lot of their peers. So I'm not surprised to see Sun and Moon coming back down. I also wasn't surprised to see Sword and Shield coming back up. Sword and Shield is a fantastic era. The question is going to be, is this going to continue into January? Like, what kind of seasonality is layered into this? So that's going to be something we're going to have to watch. And if you want to see it, you're going to have to tune into this video next month. Now, from a booster box perspective, so the value of all 12 booster boxes in Sun and Moon has been trending kind of the same. And then this month, it really got a shot in the arm and popped up. So you'll see the total value in booster boxes from September to October went from 7,300 to 7,100, right? Dropped 2%. And then from October to November, from 7,100 to 6,900 again, dropped another 2.4%. And then from November to December, it actually popped back up, and totally crazy. But the value of the booster boxes when I pulled this data was $7,306, which was the exact same value of the booster boxes when I pulled them in September from $7,306. So it is literally, even though it decreased the last two periods when we looked at this, it is exactly where it was at when I pulled it in September. So a heck of a turnaround. Now, I'll say this, like, I pull all of the information from this video from Polkadata.io. Polkadata.io uses eBay listing versus if you pull from TCG Player, it's only TCG Player, like only sales on TCG Player count in that, right? And Polkadata.io, you know, I think eBay's the world's biggest marketplace when it comes to buying and selling sports cards, trading cards, all of this. And so that's why I like it. I also like that it includes auctions. I think auctions are incredibly important for us to consider when we're thinking about the overall value of these products and these singles. So anyways, Polkadata.io is where I get all this source information from, and that I just think is the best data source from this. Plus, that's where I started pulling the data back in September, so now I'm committed to that data source, and it's going to stay the same for as long as this video is around. So, really interesting stuff. Let's get into the individual sets, but before I do, you know I always got to do my selfless plug. I'm a small channel. I'm trying to build it and put a ton of work into it. So, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button. We got more cool stuff coming out. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. Those three small things go a long way in helping my small channel out, and I really appreciate it. So, without that being said, here are the sets. Now, we break them down every single month. We look at two at a time because there's a whole lot of data and we kind of dig into this. Cosmic Eclipse, listen, there's been an accelerated decline in both Cosmic Eclipse and Unified Minds over the last 3 months. Now, we just talked about how Sun and Moon singles as a whole have had an accelerated decline over the last 3 months, but Cosmic Eclipse and Unified Mind has been far and away above that. We've seen a lot of drops there, especially in the top 5. The top 5 singles from these two sets have absolutely been getting smacked around, and the sealed product has been performing well, but even in this month, we're starting to see some softness. Now, one of the things that jumped out on the page at me when I started to pull this, and I had to go and do some more data dives to figure out, what's going on here, is look at all those Cosmic Eclipse cards that are over $100. That is a ton of singles cards over $100 in a single set. I went all the way back to Black and White. I couldn't find another set that had more single cards over $100 in it than Cosmic Eclipse. Think of all the awesome sets that have come out from Black and White till now. You got Flashfire, you got all the Plasma sets, right? You got Evolving Skies, you got Evolutions, you got Generations, all of these awesome sets. Yet no matter how awesome they are, none of them have more $100 cards in the set than Cosmic Eclipse. Cosmic Eclipse, you can still find it in the wild. Like, you can still find boxes, the Arceus V Premium Collection. You can buy that for a decent price, and it's still got Cosmic Eclipse packs in it. Like, to me, it's just too high. Now, I don't know where low. I don't know where the right price is. I don't pretend to have a crystal ball. Like I always say that I can't predict the future. But at least for me, I feel like Cosmic Eclipse is a little too high right now, considering everything that I just said. Now, Unified Minds, I'm a big fan of Unified Minds. I love that set. I think that is one of the better sets in the whole Sun and Moon era. But even that is starting to see a lot of weakness, especially there at the top. And again, booster boxes are still pretty strong, down 1% and down 2% month over month isn't, much to shake a fist at. That can just be a couple sales that drop lower than what they're typically used to seeing. But Cosmic Eclipse singles to me feels a little bit high. If you feel differently, I'd love to hear in the comments down below why you think Cosmic Eclipse should have that many cards in the $100 range. Now, getting into the next set right here, we have Unbroken Bonds and the monster that is Team Up. Now, the last 2 months, both of these sets were flat. So that is incredibly impactful because we've seen the rate of decline over the last 3 periods when we've looked at this. Yet no matter what, the last couple of months, Unbroken Bonds and Team Up has been flat. However, now they're not flat. Unbroken Bonds, the top 20 is down 4% month over month. Team Up, the top 20 is down 3% month over month. And it has been interesting to watch the Team Up singles perform because 2 months ago, 16 of the 20 Team Up singles were up. Last month, 9 of the 20 Team Up singles were up. Now only 3 of the top 20 singles are up. Again, we talk about that accelerated rate of decline. Even a set as epic as Team Up might not be insulated from this normalization of Sun and Moon. It's not a crash, right? I don't think Sun and Moon era is going to go down as a big bust. Sun and Moon era is epic. Amazing cards, amazing artwork, but it is interesting to see these things start to normalize a bit. Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds, the thing that was interesting to me too is the booster boxes in the top 20 average are almost the same, which is really, really interesting. And it was cool to see the sealed product perform well. Now, booster boxes in the Team Up space, this is where a lot of the lift came from. And again, I told you I use Polkadata.io. It took a while to normalize for some of the auctions that have been going up. But, Team Up booster boxes have been in the $2,000 range for a couple months now. So even though the price there says $1,800, I mean, that might be indicative of where it is now, but I think it's been at $1,800 for a couple months in a row. So even though it shows up 10%, I feel like $1,800 is right where Team Up has been for the last couple months anyways. But where I'm really taking a lot of this is just the overall movement in the Team Up single space. Very interesting to see, the number of them that have been declining kind of increase month over month. Now, next one right here, Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm. Now, Lost Thunder ETBs were down to $150 a couple months ago. Every single month, since I do all this data, I give you a video where I say, hey, these are things that I'm going after. Lost Thunder ETBs were on it, and I didn't pull the trigger. And was it a missed opportunity? I don't know, but I will say this. Ever since we had it on there, the prices have been going up. I didn't buy it. Maybe I should have. Lost Thunder, I think, is an interesting set. I'm not 100% in love with everything that's in there, to be honest with you. It's a Lugia set. There's, I think, Mimikyu's in there, too. But not a lot lot of big name Pokemon. It's got a lot of really cool trainers in it, but interesting to see that ETB really bounce up from that $150 mark. Now, Celestial Storm is another lesson, right? I'm always trying to take lessons away from the work that we do here. Celestial Storm has absolutely been getting crushed the previous 2 months, and we've seen this pattern in the past where a set just absolutely falls like a rock for a couple months, and then on the third month, it ticks up. Now, in Celestial Storm, especially that chase card was getting absolutely hammered. I'm talking about down 12%, down 18%, month over month, and now we see it rebound a little bit. Some of the things we talk about here too are different support lines, right? Like when a card is dropping, we use the Moonbryon as an example, right? Like the Moonbryon was way up there, and then it just kind of fell like a rock, but it got in the 480, 490 range, and it shot back up into the 520, 530 range where it is right now. That's because when it gets below 500, I feel like that's the biggest support line for the market. The market's like, hey, listen, this card is epic. There's no way in God's green earth this should be at $480, $490 range. And then when it hits there, people start piling in, which in turn drives the price back up. So I think that's kind of what we saw here in Celestial Storm. Again, I think these cards are awesome. I do think they're a little too expensive, but that's what happened. Everything in Celestial Storm was coming down. It's not uncommon for us to see big drops in these top 20 cards month over month, and then all of a sudden it pops up a little bit. So this is also the very first set that we've seen thus far that has a number one card go up. So the chase card went up and the top 20 went up month over month. So really interesting to see that. Really interesting to see all of this shake out in Celestial Storm and in Lost Thunder as well. Now, next one right here, we got Forbidden Light and we have Ultra Prism, and this is another group where the top 5 really got hammered. Only one of the 10 cards in the top 5 of both of these sets was actually up month over month. Now, the Forbidden Light chase card has been getting smacked 3 months in a row. It has been coming down. Now, listen, I'm not speculative. I'm not going to buy this card simply because I think that, you know, we've seen this pattern where it goes down, 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 and then all of a sudden it snaps back up. I'm not going to do that, but I am putting that out there because I think this will be interesting for us to look at next month to see if the pattern holds and to see if that chase card ends up coming up a couple bucks. Do we see that in the green next month? We've seen it enough to make it think it's a pattern, but we'll just have to see if it makes it all the way through to the end. Now, Ultra Prism ETBs have been under a ton of pressure, right? I just talked about it with Lost Thunder. We saw Lost Thunder ETBs coming down, 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 and then all of a sudden it's been snapping back up. Ultra Prism ETBs are kind of doing the same thing. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to pull the trigger, but it is something that's very interesting to keep top of mind. And again, just like I said with the Forbidden Light chase card, next month when we get back to this, I'm putting this point in time so that we can come back and say, hey, listen, do we see the Ultra Prism ETBs start snapping back up? Now, there's 2 different versions of those Ultra Prism ETBs, so there's not just one, so there's 2 different prices. This is a blend of the 2, so it'll be interesting to see if it comes up. And us thus far, right, we've looked at 8 different sets, which interesting to me is 5 of the 8 booster boxes that we've looked at so far are up month over month, and only 3 of the 8 ETBs are up month over month. So at the end, we're going to do a whole synopsis, and that's going to be interesting to look at. Now, here's Crimson Invasion and Burning Shadows. Now, Crimson Invasion last month saw some short-lived growth, but it could not hold on. Again, lots of red, top to bottom, everything sealed. I mean, Crimson Invasion just had, for by all intents and purposes, you know, kind of a terrible month, right? All of the sealed product is coming down. Chase card is coming. Chase card is down below $35. It's 6 years old, and it has no cards on that list that are over $35, which is a big ouch in my mind. However, Burning Shadows, we're finally starting to see that Rainbow Zard bounce up a little bit, and then obviously the booster box went up just a little bit too. I can't believe that booster box is up almost $400 for Burning Shadows, when I mean, reality is, you know, there's only a couple cards in there that are big chase cards, and one of them being that Zard. So interesting to see that. It's very interesting for me to look at these first 4 sets from Sun and Moon. Now, there's no way in God's green earth you can compare them to Scarlet and Violet, right? We're talking about totally different apples and oranges type production runs, apples and orange type, I don't know, the sets in general, everything was different back then than it is now, so you can't compare them. But whenever I talk about this, I do recognize, hey, listen, these are the first 4 sets. We're in the middle of the first 4 sets from Scarlet and Violet. So I'm always looking for some lessons to take away, because the first 4 sets of Scarlet and Violet certainly haven't found a whole lot of love, and some of these earlier sets in Sun and Moon sure don't have a lot of love either, and we're going to get into the other 2 right here. Guardians Rising and Sun and Moon, I mean, another one where Sun and Moon has been under a ton of pressure as of late, but guess what? Next to Celestial Storm, this is the only other one where we see green month over month, and that is because Lily has finally popped. Lily was on an aggressive downward in the right trajectory. Another chase card that was just down double digits month over month, and then again, like we said, we talk about support lines. I think it just got so low and so cheap that the market said, this doesn't make sense. This is an awesome card from an awesome era and an awesome set, and people just snapped it up, and then we see a 20% growth month over month. So again, lessons we're trying to learn here and things that we can apply. You know, once we get maybe 6 or 8 months of doing this, you know, I think we can can actually start to trend some of this out and maybe start making some educated guesses as to what might happen in the future. Now, again, not one for ones with Scarlet and Violet, but when I do look at these, I certainly keep these top of mind. You know, we've seen the booster box prices from the first 4 sets of the Sun and Moon era, even with the lower production runs, even with the pandemic pump, like they are still the 4 lowest booster box prices out of the entire Sun and Moon era. So something to keep in mind while we're looking at all of these, you know, first era sets from Scarlet and Violet. And then always I give you the synopsis at the end. Only 2 of all 12 sets saw the top 20 cards go up in price month over month. That is the exact same result as last month, but the ones that went down much harder than they did in the previous month. However, we saw some strength in the booster box space. 8 of the 12 booster boxes went up month over month versus last month we only saw 4 of them. So hey, listen, even though the single cards are coming under some pressure, it seems like the sealed products are gaining some steam. Now, ETBs and booster boxes swapped, right? Now, 5 of the 8 ETBs were up this month. Last month, 7 of the 12 ETBs were up. So it's going to be interesting to follow this pattern. Like, are we going to start to see some softening in the ETB space while we start to see booster boxes pick up steam? Again, really excited to continue to do this video series to see if that plots out, because I think, you know, certain products get hot at different times and ETBs might be cold now and booster boxes might be hot. But at some point, the ETBs will get to a point where they'll get hot again and they'll start to pick back up. Again, tools in your tool belt, different data points to play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And only 8 of the 36 top cards went up versus 9 last month. So pretty much the same comparison, but a lot of weakness, right? So out of the top 36 cards, there's 12 sets with booster boxes. The top 3 cards from each set, that's 36 total cards to look at. This month, only 8 of those top 36 cards went up month over month. So a lot of correction here in the very, very top of the Sun and Moon era. And again, as I've said multiple times over the last year on this channel, Sun and Moon is a fantastic era. Absolutely love the cards. I still think that it's riding high from that pandemic pump. I don't think it's going to take away from, you know, the long-term collectability of this, but I do think that we have some price correction yet to be done in this market, and it's really exciting to see the sealed product take off. So with that being said, listen, I owe you XY, I owe you Scarlet and Violet. I'm going to put that together soon. If you made it to the end of this video and you haven't hit that subscriber button yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Questions or comments, drop them down below. As always, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Those 3 small things go a long way in helping my channel out, and I appreciate you. You guys have an epic one, okay? See you, everybody.